So take, for example, your typical DSP, they have advertising revenue that they receive. If we're talking about, music DSPs, labels are also investors in these companies now. So the
Okay.
label, which was
Wow.
supposed to be the advocate for the artist, is now an investor in the DSP that's cheating them on, an equitable rate. So
Never ending.
so it doesn't really behoove them to help the artists get better rates
Right.
because they're making money as investors. And then you have the subscriber piece of their revenue model. So, I think Spotify has like 200 million subscribers. They're paying whatever they're paying per month as individuals. And of those multiple millions and probably into the billions, they're not sharing any of that with the artists.
Yeah.
So,
So who's
okay,
in Congress fighting?
I should get money for streams and downloads, but I should also be sharing in the revenue from your advertising that you're
Mhm.
pulling in because they're only advertising because the music is here. And I should be getting a portion of the subscriber revenue as well as an artist because they're subscribing so that they can have access to this diverse offering of audio products. And
Yeah.
I'm part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter how large or how small, there should be money set aside for that to be equal, equitably distributed based on the performance of those artists. And then that incentivizes, anybody who's on these platforms to perform better on them. But then we got to talk about the shadow farms that boost the streams and the bot streams and the fake streams. And so, the
Right.
game is like rigged on so many levels to the detriment of the
Yes.
artists. Like
Wow.
this has to stop. And when artists complain to Spotify, it doesn't matter because there's no mandate. They need to be directing that ire to Congress, to their
And that
representatives
was my next question to
in the
you. Who
House and the Senate, because only Congress can change these laws. They're the ones that have set the royalty rates for network TV and for terrestrial radio.
but who are the
So
people fighting
through
for
the
that?
FTC.
But
Well, the people fighting for that should be House reps and should be senators. But this speaks to a larger problem when it comes to policy relating to entertainment. They think what you mentioned earlier, that everybody's rich, and
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's not a priority. And just because you have to present a certain way as an artist to actually come to market doesn't mean that they're wealthy.
right, right.
So, and if we look at these streaming rates, they're not set up to actually even have a living wage, much less be able to pass on any generational wealth. So, or to retire on. And so this is a problem. What I think needs to happen is that DSPs need to be designated as hybrid media companies. And then they will be subject to FCC oversight.
Hmm.
And then they will have to adhere to the same rate structure as network television and terrestrial radio.
Wow.